I'm on a time limit here. A man owns a Bible company. He's looking for 3 part-time salesmen to sell Bibles. He calls them, he puts an ad in the paper, 3-man answer. He calls them in one at a time. He calls the first guy, what do you do? He says, I'm a school teacher. He says, why do you want to sell Bibles? He says, well, I'm a starting teacher. My first year, we don't make much money. I could use the extra cash. He says, all right, take Bibles, sell them. I'll see you at the end of the month. Calls him the second guy. He says, what do you do? He says, I'm a CEO. CEO? What the hell do you want to sell Bibles for? He says, I don't want it for the money. I need a challenge. I run a company that goes so smooth that I don't need the money. I just need a challenge. He says, okay, take Bibles, sell them. I'll see you at the end of the month. Calls him the third guy. He says, what do you do? He says, I'm a salesman. And why do you want to sell Bibles? He says, well, sometimes I have a bad week, and then I could use the extra bucks. He says, okay, take Bibles, sell them, I'll see you at the end of the month. Well, the end of the month rolls around. He calls him the school teacher. He says, how many did you sell? He says, 21. He says, 21? That's not even the average. He calls him the CEO. He says, how did you do? He says, 52. Not so bad, not good. He calls him the, who do you call him? Go ahead. Calls him the salesman. He says, how did you do? He says, I sold 429. He says, 429? How'd you sell so many? He says, it was easy. He says, I knock on the door. I say, I'm selling Bibles. You want to buy one, or you want me to read it to you? A woman is arrested. She's brought into court accompanied by her husband. The judge says, why are you here? She says, I got caught stealing. He says, what did you steal? She says, I stole food. Why? She says, I was hungry. He says, what kind of food did you steal? She says, I stole a can of peaches. He says, how many peaches were in that can? She said, 6. He says, I'm going to give you a day in jail for each peach that was in that can. Husband says, wait, Your Honor, she also stole a large can of peas. Has a heart attack. They bring him to the hospital, the emergency room, perform surgery. He wakes up 2 days later, he realizes he's in the Catholic hospital run by nuns. Oh my goodness, what about the bill? Mother Superior goes in, she says, what kind of insurance do you have? She says, I don't have any insurance. She says, well, you must have some savings. No, I don't have any savings. She says, do you have any family member who can help you? He says, I only have one sister. She's a spinster. In fact, she's a nun. The Mother Superior says, nuns are not spinsters. Nuns are married to God. He says, great, send the bill to my brother-in-law. A man gets up in the morning, gets dressed, showers, shaves, comes downstairs. His wife makes him a big breakfast. He finishes the whole breakfast, gets in his car to go to work. He has a stomach ache. By the time he gets to work, the stomach ache is worse. And by the time lunch hour rolls around, he's in terrible pain. He calls his wife. He says, Phyllis, I don't know how this is working, but I have a stomach ache that's getting worse as the day goes on. I'm going to check myself into the hospital. She meets him at the hospital. He says, Phyllis, I don't think I'm going to make it through the night, so I'd like to make a confession. I slept with my secretary, your sister, and your sister's best friend. She says, I know, Fred. Rest. Let the poison work.
Thank you, Mr. Morty Goldblatt. All right, thank you, Morty. Come on, let's hear it for Morty one more time. Maybe we should sign him up for a contract. What do you think? Pretty good. Well, guys, are you having a good time so far?